Hello, pharmacy owners. Dr. Lisa Fost here with Diversify RX, and I am excited about today's message for you because I am a fan of lowering your cost of goods sold. Who wouldn't be, right? A dollar saved is a dollar in your pocket, and I am constantly talking to pharmacy owners about decreasing their expenses. And the largest expense for any pharmacy is your inventory and how much products cost that then you are reselling when you dispense them. So when you can lower your cost of goods, you can dramatically increase your profits. And when you purchase them, what I consider to be the right way, you'll also get a big boost to your cash flow. I've been talking and writing about kind of breaking up with the primary vendor agreements that many of us have, that you really aren't beholden to them like sometimes I think many of us fear that we are, because it's been drilled into us for so many years. And so I'm very excited to be introducing you to, or maybe reintroducing you to, RxCherryPick. I think this is one of the companies that's the linchpin of this process of decreasing your cost of goods, increasing your cash flow, and really creating the pharmacy of your dreams that is profitable and thriving. So I have Craig Robinson from RxCherryPick. You probably know him. I think he's been around for years. I won't even say how many years, but he goes to all the shows. He's very, very active on LinkedIn and lots of other social networks. And so you've probably seen his name somewhere. But Craig, thank you for spending a few minutes with us and some time with us to help pharmacy owners understand how to lower their cost of goods, increase their cash flow. So just in case somebody doesn't know you, give us a little brief introduction of who you are and who RxCherryPick is.
Well, Lisa, it is great to see you again. We do see each other on occasion, and I love the leadership position you're taking and the value that you're bringing to independent pharmacies. Getting to what RxCherryPick is not, which is kind of an unusual way to look at this, but I think it's really important. There's a lot of confusion out there as to what RxCherryPick is and isn't.
Yep.
I think the main thing that people first think is because we are a internet-based service, people tend to group us with the pricing platforms. And don't get me wrong, pricing platforms definitely have their place in this piece, but we are not, and, there are the pricing platforms that are out there like the Trexaids, the Farm Savers, Ezra RXs. We actually will, if it's not a good fit for RxCherryPick, we will actually send people to those pricing platforms because they might have a process that they believe in that seems to be working for them. And that is what we're dedicated to, is getting them to focus on what is working. Also, we are not a buying group. Even though we have a large number of pharmacies, we're not a buying group. We're not structured like a buying group. We are not tied to any primary wholesaler. There's no membership fees there, none of that. So those are the two main things. And then the other key is that we are out there. I would say, even though Lisa, you like me and I like you, the wholesalers out there really don't like RxCherryPick.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in a nutshell, what we do is we are an alternative to the rebate structure. So your PVA, as you mentioned, and bless you for saying PVA and not contract. It is an agreement. That's what it is. You are always within the confines of the agreement, because I think on most of it, it's like page 8, page 9, they have that complicated matrix. And that matrix will always say, even at 0 purchases, you're within your prime vendor agreement. And so what we advocate, and this gets to cash flow, is step away from your rebate. You cannot, the term rebate is the antithesis to cash flow.
Yes.
Right?
I got to break in here for a minute, because this is my soapbox. I try to tell pharmacy owners, rebates are not what you're going for. You are overpaying so much for your products to only get a small portion of that back on the rebate. You never, ever get a rebate large enough that actually makes your cost of goods equal to what you can buy out on the market, available through other companies like RxCherryPick for net upfront pricing. Like, I think pharmacies know they overpay. What they don't know is exactly how much they're overpaying and really how much they're just getting taken advantage of by fighting this rebate system. And that's really what you want to step away from, because you're overpaying in the hopes at some point in the future, which you don't even really know, that you get some of that money back. And that's just a ridiculous way to run a business. But that's unfortunately been the quote unquote status quo in pharmacy for so long that many of us don't know that there is an alternative way of purchasing your drug. So thank you for pointing that out, because that is the one thing that I love talking about.
Yeah, well, exactly. And what you and I can talk about, which is never really discussed, is the mechanism of how this takes place. Okay, it is right there in plain sight. Okay, you are on generic drugs. You pay when you're using a rebate. You pay list invoice price. You are paying the maximum. It's not like when you go out shopping and you're buying yourself your flat screen TV and you find a really good deal on a flat screen TV, and on top of that low price, you get a rebate. No. In the pharmacy, as a pharmacy owner, you know that what you are forced to do is pay the highest price. And then I have heard of organizations that are out there that have these mythical rebates, and it will be pushed out 36 months.
Yep.
3 years. I know what their business plan is. The pharmacy won't be in business in 3 years. They won't have to pay it. You know, I mean, what business operates that a pharmacist cannot tell what his true cost of goods are?
Yep. I actually just wrote an article for Pharmacy Times about the problems where does lack of transparency cause problems for pharmacy owners? And there's lots of areas where lack of transparency causes problems. But the biggest one for me is you don't actually know what that drug costs. So when you're dispensing it, at the point of dispensing it, you're making decisions on, hey, am I going to give this to the patient or not? Like, am I making money? Am I losing money? On completely made up numbers. I mean, completely mythical made up numbers, because you don't know. Most places, you mentioned 36 months, and I know who you're talking about, and there is a 36-month rebate out there, but at most, the best is like 30 days sometimes, 6 months, quarterly, more likely, and then the annual rebate. You know, almost everybody has an annual. So it's like, I'm buying a drug today, and I won't technically be able to somehow figure out what I actually paid for it till a year from now. Like, that's just, there's no way to run a business, and that's why it's a big suck on cash flow, because I loved how you said is you're paying top price. You are paying the most expensive price for that drug in the hopes of getting some of it back. So, and then on the PBM side, which, you know, you don't do anything with the contracts, but on the PBM side, you're paid the lowest price. Yeah. And then you're hoping that your performance gives you an extra little bit more. And so that's why there's such terrible cash flow in pharmacies, because you're paying the highest price, you're getting paid the lowest price, and you're just there's nothing left in between. And so that's what's so critical to cash flow.
Well, it is. And that mechanism is very subtle. And there's a psychological component to this. And people tend to breeze over it, but how many owners are sitting there waiting and checking their banking account 4 or 5 times a day, waiting for that rebate check to come in? Did we get it? It is, you know, really, we're talking about drugs and we're talking about addiction, and it is an addiction to that rebate check coming in, which is never what you think it is. It is never itemized.
Yep.
So again, and I talk to a lot of accountants out there, and they go, well, we account for that money. Well, you put it in as just a receivable, that just a bulk number, but many times with you, the primary wholesaler and stuff, it's tied to pharmacy systems, it's tied to credits, it is all mixed up. Well, and I hear this all the time out in the industry is, well, why can't they just tell me what my price is, right? I'm going to tell you why nobody's going to like it. The reason why is it's a $650 billion industry. 3 companies control 97% of the industry. Doing this, it's a good business model for them. It's not a good business model for the independent pharmacist. So as we slide over to transparency allows you now to account for your business. Okay. You do have to get off of that rebate check, a little junky. I got to have the rebate check. But now the difference is the speed at which we start putting the money in your account. Let's just take an example of an average size pharmacy that does, say, 150 prescriptions a day. Okay, it's very easy. Lisa, I'm going to share with you the secret formula to cash flow that you will receive. And let's say you're paying twice monthly. Okay. The secret formula is take $1,000, multiply that times your daily script volume. So 150 scripts a day. And this is a conservative number. You will generate in 6 weeks in your bank account $150,000. Now you stop the negative slide. When you're in this situation, a primary wholesaler will happily say, I know what a pharmacist's worst day, a pharmacy owner's worst day is. I'll describe it for you. Your viewers are going to go, they're going to start having reactions to it.
PTSD, a little PTSD from the description.
Exactly. Is you have payroll, right? Your primary bill is due. Okay. It's a lump sum bill. And then you get hit with a DIR fee. Okay. You have no cash flow in the bank. You're barely able to make payroll. And payroll, you aren't making payroll because you and I both know many, many pharmacists who are there working 6 days a week, worrying about their business 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and they're not paying themselves. So you're not making payroll.
I will honestly say I have experienced that worst day. I remember in my pharmacy, this is years ago, where I actually went down to a bank. I had to go down to a bank and do a cash withdrawal from my credit card. Yes. Just to put it in the account to cover payroll, because all of those kinds of things hit, like everything hit at once, and you just don't have enough cushion, because when you're operating under the traditional system, the wholesaler is holding on to your money, not your bank account.
And that's it. So then what's the next thing that most of these pharmacists do? Okay, you can only go to your personal savings so many times before that's depleted.
Yep.
What most of the pharmacists out there will do is they will make a call to their primary and saying, is it okay if I push this off until Monday or Tuesday? And I'm looking for now we're back to the junkie of checks coming in, the reimbursement check coming in. When I get that, I'll pay for that. Okay. I don't know of any institution, bank, primary wholesaler, or anything. They give you a bridge loan. That's what effectively they're doing, is giving you a bridge loan. Those are extremely expensive. Yep. Okay. And usually if you push your bill off, it's going to affect what category you're in as far as pricing goes. So now your pricing just got worse, and you're going to pay a penalty, and you're going to pay some steep interest. Okay. All of those now moving forward from that day come right out of your profits. Your profit margin is gone. So, and as you can tell, you and I, could talk about this all day long and just think it's the most interesting subject we've ever heard of, is that you have to break that cycle if you're going to survive. Now, I do hear from, clients that will say, well, it's really just a Band-Aid. When I first heard that, what RxCherryPick does is a Band-Aid, that is true. You know, the industry is changing, and I didn't like hearing it. I can get kind of crabby, and so the idea that it was a Band-Aid was an affront to me. And that's when I started thinking about, you know what, I'm going to talk to Lisa about this, because there's a sequence of events. You cannot stop working diligently to make your pharmacy more efficient. You still have to stay on that path.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Switching to RxCherryPick, there is a short-term boost and a big boost, a nitric oxide, yes, boost. But that doesn't mean that it automatically fixes everything in the pharmacy. I know that's what I talk to pharmacies about, all the different KPIs, all the different efficiencies, diversifying your revenue, getting your payroll in order. All of those things are still important, even when you're buying drugs at the lowest possible price and you're improving your cash flow as much as possible through your purchases. That doesn't give you a free pass to let the rest of the pharmacy just meander in whatever they want to do. Like, you still have to manage those other things.
Yeah, you cannot go back to how you operated your pharmacy 10 years ago.
Yeah, those days are gone. And I know a lot of people get upset over that. It's just reality. Appreciate it for what it was, and there's still a way, and that's my mantra, is there's a way to win today. There's always a way to win. That's just my firm belief, no matter what type of pharmacy you're at, no matter where you're at. And part of it is introducing, these pharmacy owners to people like you that can help them just operate differently, start to mature, start to really go through that change in their pharmacy and how they're operating. And I like that you said that it's an addiction. There is an addiction to rebate checks. You feel, oh my gosh, I got a $20,000 rebate check. Well, what you don't realize is you overpaid by $40,000. You only got a little bit of it back. But start to get addicted by, how much your profit is increasing, how much your gross profit, your net profit, start getting addicted to other things. And that's why I'm a data freak, because I needed to move that attention to something else that I was actually in control of and I could actually do things about. And I think that's why RxCherryPick it's kind of like that cornerstone. Everybody talks about that cornerstone, the one that holds up the building. I think it's this way of purchasing is the cornerstone for what a profitable, thriving pharmacy looks like in the, from today going forward.
Yes. Well, and I think everything, it just stuns me that you and I just are completely on the same page on this. When we look at this, the other subtle aspect of this, and again, there's pressure from all sides, is when a pharmacy is looking at this, and Lisa, I know you hear this all the time, they're going, okay, I've got to improve my brand cost of goods, because I'm getting killed on brand cost of goods. The industry, the wholesale industry, wants you to segment your purchasing, brands from generics, line items all the way through. Now you're playing into their hands. I will give you an example of a pharmacy that I just talked to this morning. He said, can you help me with brand cost of goods? I need to get 1% better. And I said, just wait a minute. Okay. So, he wanted to move from WAC minus 375 to WAC minus 475. He goes, then I'm good. And I said, I'm going to tell you how. Okay. And he purchases $200,000 of brands. I said, if you move it 1%, you will have a savings of $2,000. Okay. So we're talking $2,000. But in order to get that, if you do the standard rebate route, you are going to double the cost of your generics. So it will cost you an additional, for this guy, it will cost him an additional $36,000. This is how good they've gotten in your head, going, I want the $2,000 and I'm willing to pay $36,000 for it.
Yep.
But the whole industry, and for many, many years, the 30 years ago, rebates were a good thing because there was competition out there. The world's changed. And a lot of pharmacists are like me. We're old crabby guys. And, we wish, it was back in the 70s. Great. And, we could wear flowers and all sorts of stuff. It isn't. The reality is, if you chase one aspect of your total business, it will not work. You got
to look at the total cost of your goods. And that's why I've had this argument, the exact same conversation. It's not about what your brand pricing is. It's not about what your generic pricing is. It's your actual dollar amount of all of your drugs. You just need to lower that. And you don't want to finance your brand pricing to some fake below cost brand pricing by overpaying for your generic. So if a pharmacy's listening to this, Craig, and they're like, hey, this is all sounding kind of good. I do 150 scripts a day on average, and I want an extra $150,000 in my bank account in 6 weeks. Like, count me in. What's the best way that a pharmacy can reach out to you, have this conversation? You'll actually give them a proposal based on their own numbers and their own situation. How do they best contact you?
There's two ways of doing it. One is, I think you have my contact information, and I would always say, run through Lisa. The other way is if you Google RxCherryPick, you will come to what we've been known in the industry. All the marketing people just love our whiz bang homepage. I will pre-warn you, it is very simple. There's a reason. It's
ugly, Craig. It's ugly. Just tell them it's an ugly homepage, and that is actually on purpose, but it is a legitimate company. And I will post in the comments all of Craig's direct contact information along with the very ugly website, so you can go see it for yourself. So
yeah, because there's a lot of people. It's a big industry, and we cannot post things on the internet that will be used against us.
Yep.
It is simple. And yes, it is ugly, but my brother and I are Irish Norwegian up in Minnesota, and we like things nice and simple.
So I will give you, I think your email address is probably the easiest way to get a hold of you. You're super responsive. I send pharmacies to you all the time, and usually you respond within an hour or so. And we'll make sure to get that contact information out to everybody, because I really do believe wholeheartedly that breaking away from your rebates, breaking away from feeling beholden to that primary vendor agreement. And I think the biggest question is like, well, what if I need something unique? What if I need something special? You still have your primary wholesaler. You still can go order from them and order the products. You're just not playing the rebate game. And so it's not like you're losing access to something. And so I think that's just kind of a big fear that a lot of pharmacy owners have. But you're going to be hearing a lot of this from me in 2022 and beyond. I'm very passionate about helping pharmacies lower their cost of goods, increase their cash flow, because that's going to help you stay alive so that you can do all the other cool, sexy programs that we have that increase your revenue and help you to diversify your revenue streams. And so you'll be hearing a lot more about this from me moving forward. So thank you, Craig. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. You and I could talk for hours on this, but I think we'll let people go. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Very good, Lisa. Look forward to talking to you again.